Coming up on Volusia Magazine, we head out bowling for strikes and spares, introduce a course to learn Florida's great outdoors, and the health department is keeping our public pools safe and summer ready. Those stories and more next. Hello and welcome to Volusia Magazine. I'm Brian Vandal. Public pools are a cool retreat for many during the hot summer months. The Volusia County Health Department inspects all public pools across Volusia County to ensure that they are safe for you to enjoy. Dr. Holly Smith shows us what the Health Department looks at and what you can look for when you're visiting your local public pool.
The hot temperatures have arrived, and that is sending a lot of people to public pools to cool down. To protect the health of the public, the Florida Department of Health checks out the county's public pools from construction to operation. To get an idea of just how big of a job that is, we first need to start with the definition of a public pool.
A pool can include swimming pools, spa pools, wading pools, activity pools, which an activity pool is like a pool with some activity equipment for children in it usually, water parks, float tanks, or sensory deprivation tanks get permitted as a public pool.
Now that's a lot of options for a public pool. A public pool is basically anything that's not a private pool. Before any of these public pools are built in Volusia County, the health department works with building officials by looking over the plans and providing comments.
We get a set of plans that's prepared by an engineer and should meet all the construction requirements, and we go through, review those plans and see that they do, so we can catch everything hopefully before the construction phase. So once we start doing our operating permit inspections, it makes things a lot easier.
Once the pool is ready to open, the health department heads back out to conduct an in-depth first inspection that includes the elements of construction.
If they have things to correct, oftentimes they will, because it's such a big project. We'll tell them what needs to be corrected, and then when that's done, we'll issue them an operating permit and start billing them for their annual operating permit.
And that's when things really get busy for the health department's pool inspectors. In 2019, there were nearly 1,100 public pools in Volusia County. Each of those public pools must be inspected twice a year.
We are required to inspect every pool once January through June, once July through December. And just at the beginning of an inspection cycle, we go through our pools and start hitting them one after the next until you're done, and then you start over again.
In addition to those 2,200 inspections, the department also inspects complaints they receive from concerned citizens. Each inspection can take about 45 minutes. It's quite a process. Here's how it's done.
Different inspectors might do it in a different order, but the way I like to do it is I like to start with the equipment. So I go to their equipment room and I'll look that the pump, chemical feeders, and filter are what's approved. I've got a list of what they're supposed to have, and I see that if they've made any changes, that those are acceptable. They haven't put in equipment that's not suitable for that pool. Then I look for some of the gauges, like the filtration rate that I talked about, and also a vacuum gauge or pressure gauges, which tell me how well the filter's working. And then from there, I like to walk around the pool, look for things like the condition of the deck, check the barrier, the fence or other barrier, and all the gates, depth markers, no diving markers, pool rules, safety equipment like a shepherd's hook and a life ring. And then I like to do, or we need to do, chemical tests. So whatever disinfectant they're using, usually either chlorine or bromine, and we test for pH also.
If you are planning a dip in a public pool, there are a couple of things you can look for to give you peace of mind that it's safe. First, listen for the pump to be operating. Then look at the water. It should be clear, not cloudy, not green. You want clear water that allows you to see the bottom of the pool easily. You should be able to see the main drain. Make sure that drain is in place, not cracked or broken or missing.
Other than that, there shouldn't be a real strong odor. You shouldn't be able to smell a lot of chlorine or other odor from the pool. Chlorine takes more than one form in the water. The form that we want for disinfection usually doesn't have a very strong odor.
Once a pool passes the inspection, the facility gets an annual operating permit. You may ask to see the permit from the last inspection to ensure you are swimming in a pool that is current on its inspections. Sometimes, though, the inspectors do find problems during their walk-around.
One of the most common violations would be water quality or chemistry issues, either chlorine being too low or too high, or the pH being too low or too high. Other common violations might be the gates. So the gates are important because they're supposed to self-close and self-latch, and that's to keep children out from the pool. But sometimes the hinges, the latches on the gates, those wear out pretty quickly and need maintenance, so we see that. Another thing might be that the filtration, the pump's working, but the flow isn't where it's supposed to be because of something wrong inside the filter, or that the pump's getting old and needs maintenance.
It seems like the pool inspectors are only there to find problems and mark them down on their laptop, but that's really not the case.
It's not always about enforcement, I'll say that. We work a lot with facilities that will call us and want to preemptively fix something before we're there and want to know, can you review this sign and make sure it meets the requirements, or I need to change out the pump, and is this pump okay? So there's a lot of consultation to hopefully keep violations from happening so that we don't have to do enforcement.
If you see a potential problem at a public pool, the Florida Department of Health will come out within 48 hours to check it out and work with the owner to correct the problem. All you have to do is get the process started by calling the Department of Health's Environmental Health Office. The telephone number is area code 386-274-0694. That's 274-0694. For the Florida Department of Health right here in Volusia County, I'm Dr. Holly Smith.
Volusia County beaches are more than a playground for visitors. It's also where hundreds of sea turtles nest annually. Pat Kewen explains what steps beachside residents and businesses take to help sea turtles and their hatchlings.
Beginning each May, hundreds of sea turtles emerge from the surf, usually at night, and make nests along the shore. About 2 months later, baby turtles, known as hatchlings, emerge from the nests and crawl into the ocean on their own. What many people don't realize is that this natural occurrence can be adversely affected by artificial light.
So it's important for beachfront owners to shield their lights because sea turtles, when they come up on the beach at night to nest, when they are done nesting and returning to the water, or when little baby hatchlings, when they're finally hatching, they look towards the brightest horizon to make it back to the water. So it should be the reflection of the moon on the water, or just, the brightest horizon is open, which should be the ocean.
To help make sure artificial lighting is limited, Volusia County has a lighting ordinance in effect from May through October that restricts the amount of light that can illuminate the beach and prohibits the source of light being visible from the beach. The ordinance affects all beachfront property on the east side of Atlantic Avenue and the properties directly on the west side of Atlantic Avenue. According to Phillips, there are many examples along the beach where property owners are shielding their lights effectively.
Alfie's actually put some recessed lights up in there on the east side of their building a couple years ago. And what the issue with recessed lights is that because we're at a lower elevation on the beach, we can see up into a fixture. And when it's a recessed fixture, we can see up into it and we can see the inside backside of the fixture. And so that is what we consider reflective surface of the fixture, which is not compliant with our ordinance. So what Alfie's did is they made like a half moon shield. So it's just, 180, 270 degrees around the fixture, no west side of the fixture. That way when you look up, there's no west side to see, no reflective surface. And I think they did it with PVC pipe. So they just cut it in half and we're able to install it up, and it works great. And it only has to be 2 to 3 inches. So at University parking lot, there are some low bollards, and a lot of times we see these fixtures a lot, especially on a lot of the new properties going in. And their bollards are probably about waist high, and they're louvered all around. Sometimes they can have an inside shield that you think is enough to shield it, but what happens is all that light reflects even off the louvers. So what they did is they actually did the same thing with PVC pipe. They cut it and they made 180, 270 degree shield for it, and they were able to just cut a PVC pipe and wrap it around the bollard, and they didn't even have to put screws in it or anything. It just like self-clamped on it. So that's a great option to block the light from being visible from the beach.
Another great example is the sign at R&L Suites, where they added floodlights that extend out on arms from the base. The lights are angled away from the beach, so no source of light is visible from the beach, but the lights are still able to illuminate the sign. They are also using a long wavelength red bulb in their fixtures, which is less disruptive to sea turtles. There are many resources available to help property owners, and she is available to meet with them to discuss their unique needs. For more information on sea turtle nesting season or tips on beachfront lighting, visit volusiaseaturtles.org or call 386-238-4773. For Volusia Magazine, this is Pat Kewen.
Have a child entering kindergarten or 7th grade? They will need proof of updated immunizations before they can return to school in August. The Volusia County Health Department is offering immunizations throughout the summer at its locations in Daytona Beach, New Smyrna Beach, and Orange City. Appointments are not needed for immunizations. For more information, please visit volusiahealth.com/shots. Improperly discarded fishing line is a danger to creatures both in and out of the water. The Underwater Cleanup Program is Volusia County's solution to the problem, and since its inception has collected more than 10,000 pounds of monofilament and marine debris. Gary Daniels gives us an inside look at the Volusia County employees who help rid our waterways of this growing threat.
When people think about the Ponce Inlet Jetty, they think about the pretty views and wildlife that you might be able to see out there and the fact that it's a great fishing spot. But what they don't think about is what they can't see, and that's what's going on underneath the water. Fishing line takes hundreds of years to decompose. So over all the years that people have fished out on the jetty, all that fishing line that has either broken from their fishing poles or that blew into the water has gotten entangled on all the rocks. So this means that any fish or crabs or other sea life can get entangled in it. So what we do is we go down and we try to clean up as much of that monofilament and marine debris as possible. When I first dive in, I'm checking my surroundings, making sure that there's nothing harmful in the way. We usually will follow that anchor line down and just gradually go down. And sometimes it does take your eyes a little bit of time to adjust because our water clarity isn't perfect a lot of the time, so sometimes we only have a couple feet of visibility. So it's just a little bit of adjusting at first, and then as soon as you can see a little bit better, then you just get to work. We usually will swim around a little bit until we find a more dense spot of fishing line that's just, once we see that, it looks like netting over top of the rocks, we just start cutting it away and pulling it off of the rocks, putting it into a bag, separating anything that might be entangled in it. So a lot of the time sea urchins are hung up in the fishing line. We have found crabs and horseshoe crabs and various types of fish that are still hooked on the hooks that are in the line as well. So it's a matter of, sometimes it does take a lot of time just sorting through the things that need to get out of there versus leaving the native animals and plants behind. So it's not just grabbing it, it's a lot of sorting and making sure that you're not affecting the environment in a harmful way. Dolphins, manatees, basically no marine mammal is immune to being able to get entangled. And the fishing line is so strong, and the more it gets wrapped onto, say, a pectoral flipper, it gets tighter and tighter until eventually it can completely amputate the pectoral flipper. This could be catastrophic for the animal. The problem goes from under the water all the way out into the regular environment. Birds are forever getting entangled in the fishing line as well, either during casting or the line that is just left on the piers instead of being put into one of the recycling containers. They fly off, unfortunately, and then that line can get entangled in trees, and it traps them there as well. I think one of my favorite moments when we were diving was, it was towards the end of the dive. We were actually already beginning to come up and a couple of manatees came swimming past. So just another reminder of why we're out there, why we're doing this, because it's their environment as well. And it was pretty awesome to see them come swimming past you when you're in their territory.
Ready to learn the flora and fauna of Florida? In Solutions for Your Life, Natural Resource Agent Dennis Mudge introduces us to the Master Naturalist program available through our Volusia County Extension Service and the University of Florida.
I'm Dennis Mudge, Natural Resources and Agriculture Agent with Volusia County at the University of Florida Extension Center. Today we're at Lyonia Environmental Center talking about our Florida Master Naturalist program. Behind me is the preserve out here for the scrub jays at the center, and we're going to go in and talk a little bit about this wonderful program with Extension. A program that is statewide but held especially right here in Volusia County. It has three core programs: the coastal systems, the upland habitats, and the freshwater wetlands. Three core programs, and when you finish the three of them, learning the flora and fauna of Florida, you are a master naturalist. Cool distinction, special badges, and now all kinds of cool roles you get to play as a volunteer. How's the program run? Well, it's run through the University of Florida. The University of Florida is the central place for it, so this is something you'd enroll. You're not a college student, but you sure are a student with the university as a part of this program. The website at the university is where you sign up, and you can pick whatever county you want to take it in, but I'd encourage you to do it right here in Volusia because we've got two sites, the Marine Discovery Center as well as with the Agricultural Center, and then you sign up for them there with your friends and neighbors and those others that want to learn. So what are you learning? Well, you're learning the names of the birds and the trees and the grass and the plants and wildlife. You're learning natural history. How many litters does a turkey have a year? What about that scrub jay that you see? How come it looks like there's family members around? Because there are, and you learn about all the natural history of the different animals that are here. And you go on field trips. Every week we go to a field trip to a different site in the county, either a state park, preserved land, or a county park. Wonderful program, wonderful place for you to have an opportunity to learn about this natural history that is so well set up in this county. Do you know how much land is set aside in this county for you to enjoy nature? Oh my heavens, it's all over the place. Great opportunity, you want to become a master naturalist. We also have guest lecturers that come in. Sometimes they're world-renowned.
Because bears have an amazing reproductive strategy.
Mike Orlando, world-renowned for knowledge of bears, is here teaching about bears in Volusia County. Do you know the numbers are on the upswing?
I really like doing these Master Naturalist classes because these folks are taking these extra classes to learn more information about bears, and that information they get it to go out and talk to their friends and neighbors and pass that all that information along.
This program, though, I will tell you, is so popular we have waiting lists. So you do want to get yourself signed up if you're interested. Now you have to be at least 18, and a lot of our people that take it are even seniors who decide, now that I've got the time, I want to learn the names of the birds that are at my bird feeder. And I want to go out to the beach and learn the animals that are there and see the seagulls and be able to tell the difference between a seagull and a tern. And yeah, well, this is the great place to have it. Master Naturalist program in Volusia County. So we have three main core instructors here in this county. Myself, Dennis Mudge, of course the former director, and guess what, another former director. David Griffiths was the originator of the program some 20 years ago here in this county, and he's one of our core instructors.
It's your common mold that you would find in your yard that pushes up the soil, and people fight as they're trying to keep their landscape. They're aerating the soil.
David, of course, has a knowledge of the beach that surpasses so many people. And so you're going to want to come and learn from David Griffiths.
While I was the county extension director, we felt the need to develop this program locally. It teaches local residents about natural resources that are found throughout Volusia County.
Mammals are larger up north than they are down here. Did you ever wonder why? Enjoying nature at the Lyonia Environmental Center for the Florida Master Naturalist Program. I'm Dennis Smudge with Solutions for Your Life.
Bowling is a sport enjoyed by 100 million people in more than 90 countries. But I bet you didn't know that the world's largest online retailer of bowling equipment is located right here in Volusia County. Community Information Director Joanne Magley brings us the story and doesn't spare any of the details.
It's hard to tell from the outside, but tucked away behind the walls of this business park is a 38,000 square foot facility that is home to the largest online retailer of bowling ball equipment in the world. Keith Spear is the president and CEO of bowlingball.com. He's always loved bowling. In 1977, while in college, he was the Brunswick National Amateur Champion and toured Europe for a couple of weeks. He started his business in 1981 when he opened his first pro shop in Fort Lauderdale.
I had a couple pro shops, moved up into this area, opened a pro shop up in Deltona in 81, opened Sunshine Lanes in 84, I think. At one time we were up to 15 pro shops, but then the economy went bad in 07, 08.
Keith actually started selling online well before the early 2000s. During his college years in the ROTC, he had exposure to the internet, but he didn't know where it would go.
We were selling on eBay before they were public. It was still a privately little held company that was doing $500,000 in revenue. We were testing those waters.
He kept a close eye on the internet and bought some domain names, including bowlingball.com.
I loved the internet, and what I thought was great about the internet is that the information should be free. Content should be free. That's why you went to the internet back then. There really wasn't, you didn't go buy anything. So we started building a lot of content on our site. And my thought was, well, if this thing ever does evolve into commerce, if we have the content, we'll get around this content, we'll build a community. And then when the commerce comes, we'll fulfill the third C. So we went content, community, then commerce.
Keith says by the time people were no longer afraid to put their credit card numbers in a browser and operating system, his online company was pretty well set up.
We had a pretty good foothold. We had tens of thousands of free articles on our website. We had people used to coming to our website. 120,000 members there. If you wanted to know how this was done or why this was done, why is the lane 60 feet, all that information was on our site.
Bowlingball.com sells bowling balls, bags, shoes, and other accessories direct to the end consumer. They sell major brands such as Storm, Brunswick, and Hammer, and they manufacture their own brand, Pyramid. In the beginning, they stored bowling balls at the pro shop. Then business started to pick up, and they got a storage unit, and then another, and at one point, they had 25 storage units to store the bowling balls. In 2002, they moved into their current location in Daytona Beach.
It just seemed to take off fast. Next thing you know, I went from doing customer service and working in the warehouse to hiring a customer service person. It just kept expanding. And I think we have 33 people now, and we've expanded almost every single year.
In addition to shoes and bags and all sorts of other bowling supplies, this warehouse holds more than 100,000 bowling balls worth more than $3 million in inventory. One of the longtime employees is Tony Rucco, the Chief Operating Officer.
I'm on year 26. I was 12 years old, and my grandma brought me into the bowling center, the old Daytona Bowl, and I was looking for lessons to start bowling. Keith had the pro shop, and so he started giving me lessons, and I was hooked. I couldn't work, obviously, I was 12, but he gave me free bowling balls I would come in and take garbage out or go get him coffee. And then in high school, I had to kind of start making decisions on what to do, and so he gave me an opportunity to sort of exchange, I guess, work for dollars there, and so I stayed on. I didn't go to college, stayed on and worked for him, and the rest is history, I guess.
Tony manages all of the day-to-day operations, everything from ordering office supplies to designing and ordering bowling balls, bags, and shoes. He also manages all overseas business, including the manufacturing in China of their Pyramid bowling balls and accessories. The company also has what they call the white glove treatment. If you buy a bowling ball from them, they will drill it and follow up with customers on the phone to make sure they're happy with their purchase. So this is my bowling ball that I've had for probably 20 years or so. And what can you do to help me make this work better for me?
We would recommend they have the ball resurfaced. As far as the fit, I'm going to start by having you put your thumb in the bowling ball. It's very easy to see where the holes should be based on where your joints are. So this is an adequate fit, but it's not a great fit. So I would start by extending this ring finger. I'd also plug these two holes because you, having smaller fingers, I would put lady ovals in here.
This kind of customer service and expertise in the sport is why Bowlingball.com has 22,000 YouTube followers and about 20 million views on their videos.
Because no one else really cares as much as we do. So it sounds kind of cheesy to say when it's bowling, but everyone's passionate about something, and pretty much everyone in here is. Even the people that don't bowl have become very passionate, and they're proud of what they do. So that's a big difference. They care about taking care of the customers. So I think that makes us the best.
For the Business Beat, I'm Joanne Magley.
Stay connected with the latest Volusia County news, events, and updates on our social media channels. Like and follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Catch up with previous stories on YouTube, or just head over to our website, volusia.org.
That wraps up this edition of Volusia Magazine. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. If you have any questions about the show, feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here. Or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio program. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Brian Vandal. Have a wonderful evening.